Hey, math friends. So our learning target today is I can calculate mean, median, mode, range, min, and max. Essentially, it's some of the same stuff we did in our last lesson, but just making sure that you really have a good depth of knowledge for those skills so that we can do the next lesson called adjusting the mean. So this is just a foundation to our next lesson. So talking about just vocabulary. So we're going to hit all of these: median, median, mode, range, min, and max. So let's talk about maximum. When we look at the maximum value, we're just looking for the greatest value in the data set. So there won't be a lot of work to show on a lot of these because they're just vocabulary terms. So I'm scanning, looking for the largest number here. Looks like the largest number in the data set is 31, so the maximum is 31. Okay, vocab. So the range. Well, the range is 31 for the max minus what's the minimum? Scanning, looking for the minimum value here. And the minimum value is 8. So max vocab word minus min vocabulary word gives us the range. So your range should be B23. So that's kind of how the lesson's going to go for the most part. There will be some calculations we'll do. The median of the data set. To get the median of the data set, we have to put them in order from least to greatest. So we would say that we have 8, we have 9, we have 10, we have 13, we have another 13, there's my mode, we have 15, maybe, we have 16, we have 20, oh, 19, I missed 19, we have 20, we have 22, and we have 31. I'm going to count those to make sure I got them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The median then, looking from least to greatest. Looking for the middle value as we go from least to greatest. What's the middle value? The median of this data set would be 15. So you're just kind of following along today and just making sure that you understand each of these super important vocabulary words when we're talking about data analysis. The mode of the data set is the number that occurs the most often. I showed that here. We said that the mode, we could see it here. I believe it was 13. Let me double check, but 13, So what is the mode of the data set? We would say that it's 13. It occurs here and it occurs there. That's the only value that occurs twice. So we've covered lots of vocabulary so far. The mean of the data set, then we would divide them, add them up and divide them out. For the sake of time, I'm going to have us skip that for right now, but we'll come back to, I think we're going to just skip that question. But the idea would be that we're going to add them all up. We get the sum, and then we divide by, how many did we say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We divide by 11. And that would be how we calculate the mean. We'll do some that have less data items to type in the calculator. So more vocabulary hitting home here. So what is the median attendance for the last 5 Vikings home games? We're going to want to put them in order from least to greatest. So we would say 32,720. We would say 33,964. I better get out of this highlighter, otherwise it doesn't write very well. We would then say 34,940. We would say 35,620 and then 35,656. So the first thing to get the median, we got to get them in order. And then once we do that, we're just looking for the middle of data in the data set, which is 34,940 is the median attendance for the last 5 Vikings home games. So there's another vocabulary word for you. The mean, of course, we would add them all up and divide by 5. Again, I'm going to skip that, otherwise the video gets super long, and we already practiced it yesterday. So add them all up and divide. The minimum, what's the minimum is the least number. So game 3 was the minimum attendance for whatever reason. Clearly they weren't playing the Packers that day. For whatever the reason, that was their minimum attendance. So some more vocabulary words. What about if it comes in the form of a graph? How do we calculate the average of graphing? So the minimum would be clearly the shortest one, which is the month of February, which looks to be 4. So the shortest graph, minimum 4. Cool. shortest bar is what I meant to say. Likewise, the maximum was the longest bar, which has a value of 11. What about the median, though? How do we calculate the median? Well, same idea. We're looking at the bars, so that's 11, that's 8, that's 4, that's 6, that's 8, and that's, what is that? It looks like it's halfway between. That's 7. I'm going to take a step back and make sure that yes. Okay, so now the median works the same way now that I have those values. So there's my least and there's my greatest. Okay, and there's my least, or there's my greatest and there's my least, let's say. So the median is somewhere between 7 and 8. So the median then would be 7.5. But first what I need to do is I need to get the data from each of these bars, then put them in order from least to greatest. The mean, I think we'll do the mean on this one. So what is the mean of the data set? Let's go ahead and write them out. How much time are we at? We're at 6 minutes. So we said that's 11, that's 8, that's 4, that's 6. Is it 6? Yep. That's 8. And that's 7 when I add it through. So when I add these up, I'm going to get the sum of those. I'm going to add these numbers up and I'm going to divide by 6. So we would have 11 plus 18 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 plus 7 gives us 54. Oops, I added wrong. Added wrong there. That can't be 54. Let's try that again. 11, I think I put 18 instead of 8. Plus 8 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 plus 7. How about 44? That looks a little better. I put an 18 in my calculator instead of an 8. Shouldn't be doing that, Ms. Volkman. So that gives us a 7.3 is the mean. We just add them up and divide by how many. The answer would be B. So what about if it comes in the form of something like this, where each of these represents a student? Each X is a student. So that student got an 11. I had 2 students get 14. 1 student get 15. And so on. So I'm writing these out so I really can visualize how the data was displayed. So what this means in this is that I had 3 students get 20. I had these students get 19. These students get 18. These students get 17, and so on, 16, 15, and so on, right? So the range then of the data set would be 20 was the highest score, and 11 was the lowest score, which gives us a range of 9. Okay, so no big deal on that question. We didn't really have to work it out. However, if I ask you about the mode, you can see, well, the most frequent score was 18. No big deal. But what if I ask you about the median? How do I get to the median? Well, least, greatest, 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 least, greatest. The median then would be 18. I'm going to verify 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, good. And then true or false, there is at least one outlier in the data set. So these all kind of trend together. This would be considered our outlier, and at least one means there's greater than or equal to one that just doesn't fit in, and we would say true. That is definitely true. There is an outlier. I do want to go back to this question here, and I do want to ask you, this didn't show up in our questions, but I just thought of it. I want to ask you this question. If these were our students and I wanted to calculate the mean, now we're not going to do that. What we should be dividing, instead of dividing by all those X's that we see, we should be dividing by these scores. So we're going to add up all these scores and then divide by number of students. So just an FYI on that. These are not, we're not going to count these as, 111 here. I guess technically there's 111, but just keep in mind that these are student scores. So that's one student that scored 11. We had 2 students that scored 14, so we're going to have to add those up to get the mean. I'm going to skip that step, but just FYI. So that's it for a lesson today. Remember that the mean, you add them and then you divide. The median is the middle. Make sure they're in order. The mode is the most. And the range is the greatest minus the smallest. Just a review of stuff that you know from before. It kind of merges the lesson from yesterday and the lesson tomorrow. So that's it for today. Make sure you have a calculator. Have a glorious night.